We will call to order the November 19th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. It looks like we have a quorum present. Do we have anyone signed up for public comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Then we'll move on to approving the minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes, or do we have a motion to approve?
There are no changes. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. Does anyone have any that need to be removed, or if not, we will move forward with a vote on the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Abstain.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Abstain.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the GDO. On motion, we have, first item is LC Henley Apartments, a fence, site plan review, and an initial and final design review for fencing for a dog park at an existing multifamily development on 20.03 acres, zone PUD and GDO 1, located along Robert Rose Drive. Master Fence is the developer. Look who's here, Ms. Kerr.
Thank
How are
you, Chair
you?
Halliburton, members of the Planning Commission. This plan review is for a 5-foot tall powder-coated black aluminum fence within the interior of Henley Station Apartments for a dog park. There are currently benches and receptacles at the facility currently, and they just want to put the dog park fence in around that. It would be 48 feet wide, 136 feet long. All plans within the Gateway District overlay must be approved by Planning Commission. Staff recommends approval of this plan as there are no staff comments.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Any questions for Ms. Kerr? Hearing none, what action do we want to take?
I'll move for approval, subject to staff comments.
Second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is Redstone Federal Credit Union, also a fence, site plan review, initial final design review for fencing at existing credit union on 2.39 acres, zoned MU, CH, and GDO 1, located at 2404 Medical Center Parkway. Redstone Federal Credit Union is the developer. Ms. Kerr.
Thanks again. This site plan review is for a 5-foot powder-coated black aluminum fencing at an existing credit union development. The fence will go on along the north and west property lines. All developments within the Gateway District overlay must have approval from Planning Commission. Staff recommends approval of this plan as there are no staff comments.
Any questions for Ms. Kerr? Hearing none, what action do we want to take?
Move for approval, subject to staff comments.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is Clary Park, Lot 16, a preliminary plat for 3 lots on 6.44 acres, zone CH, PUD, and GDO 1, located along Willow Oak Trail. Hines Clary Park Land Holdings, LLC, is the developer. Mr. Barbie.
Good afternoon, Chairman Halliburton and members of the Murfreesboro Planning Commission. This next application before you is a preliminary plat for 3 lots on 6.44 acres located at the northeastern corner of Willow Oak Trail and Robert Rose Drive. This would be for this preliminary plat is to show how the infrastructure would be provided to support the 3 lots that are proposed. Staff finds this application generally in good order and requests that any approval be made subject to staff comments.
Any questions for Mr. Barbie? Hearing none, what action do we want to take?
Move for approval, subject to all staff comments.
Second. Have a motion and a second.
Vice Chair Averwater.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is Promenade at Clary Park, Phase 2, horizontal property regime plat for 88 dwelling units, Zone PUD and GDO 1, located along Willow Oak Trail. Ashton Nashville Residential LLC is the developer. Mr. Barbie.
Good afternoon again. This next application is located to the northwest of the previous application that we reviewed, also along Willow Oak Drive. This is a horizontal property regime plat for 88 units on the parcels before you here today. Staff finds this application in good order and requests that any approval be made subject to staff comments.
Any questions for Mr. Barbie? Hearing none, what action do we want to take?
Move for approval, subject to all staff comments.
Second.
Vice Chair Averwater.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is Clary Park, Lot 18, horizontal property regime plat for 80 residential units on an 8.06 acre lot, Zone PUD and GDO 1, located along Robbie Corlew Lane and Robert Rose Drive. Haynes Clary Park Land Holdings LLC is the developer. Mr. Barbie.
Yes, sir. This application before you is a horizontal property regime plat for 80 acres, or for 80 units on 8.06 acres, and it is located between Robbie Corlew Lane and Robert Rose Drive, just across from the Henley Station development. Staff finds the application generally in good order and requests that any approval be made subject to staff comments.
Any questions for Mr. Barbie? Hearing none, what action do we want to take?
Move for approval, subject to staff comments.
Second. Have a motion and a second.
Vice Chair Averwater.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is plats and plans. The first item there is Manchester Farms, final plat for one lot on 34.8 acres zoned RM16 along Manchester Pike and Elam Farms Parkway. CC Manchester Farm LP is the developer. Ms. Smith.
Good afternoon. As you'll see on the site map here, it's highlighted in orange. This project has been under construction for at least 6 months for about 315 apartment units. And as part of that development, here, this yellow orangish colored line shows our major thoroughfare plan 2040 extension that looks to having that Elam Farms Parkway extended all the way back to Manchester Pike. In upcoming months, we'll be working on projects that will take care of that gap section, but staff wanted to point out with this project, when they had gotten their approvals, we could not get I think it was Army Corps and TDAC approvals for the portion of the roadway that comes past, if you can see on this map. They have an entrance that comes in at this point, and so this southerly portion, those entities saw that as being a roadway project and could not move that portion forward, so they will dedicate, though, the whole 60 feet. That will be constructed at one point in time, but with this particular project, they will only be building a portion of it, and that will have to be done prior to it being, sorry about that, I can't get the clear button. There it is. They'll have to do that prior to the recordation of the map, and then it will also record multiple sanitary sewer easements within the site, as well as a force main line extension. So with that, there are staff comments included in the map for the plat recordation for your consideration, and staff recommends approval of this plat map.
Any questions for Ms. Smith? Hearing none, what action do y'all want to take?
Move for approval, subject to all staff comments.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Vice Chair Averwater.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris. Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is Chick-fil-A site plan for a 5,183 square foot restaurant on 2.45 acres, zone PCD. That's the Marketplace at Savannah Ridge, PCD, located along South Church Street and Joe B. Jackson Parkway. Brent Edmiston, on behalf of Chick-fil-A, is the developer. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you, Chair Halliburton and members of the Planning Commission. The item we have before you this afternoon is for a 5,100 square foot Chick-fil-A restaurant at the corner of Joe B. Jackson and South Church Street. Well, I've got this map up. I'm going to discuss access. So the site plan, when I get down to it, you'll see that there won't be any new accesses. They're utilizing accesses and access easements within the development. The primary one, which will be the one here in front of Aldi that comes onto Joe B. Jackson, and then the site through easements has access to 2 existing entrances and exit points on South Church Street, one up closer to the new Wendy's, and then the one in between this multi-tenant building that you can see on the map before you. Zoom out a little bit here. So as far as the site plan, this is going on the lot that borders the 2 streets, South Church and Joe B. Jackson. Primarily parking is going to be in the area towards the back of the lot that would be right in front of the existing Aldi. They have access here and here to get to those northern points, and then that access drive that comes out onto Joe B. Jackson. With the parking in the front, there's circulation around the building for 2 double-loaded drive-through, as well as the required bypass lane that's associated with that. Dumpster enclosures are incorporated just to on the northern side of the building at the beginning of the drive-through itself. And then as far as other elements on the site, there's a small dining area that'll be on the South Church Street side of the building, facing and what is their kind of northwest corner of the building. And then as far as landscaping goes, the existing landscape buffer that you can see out there today is going to remain in place. They're providing basic building plantings, landscaped islands, and landscaping around the dumpster enclosure. The one item that is the reason it's before Planning Commission today, for the Planning Commission to weigh in, is related to the architecture. So kind of a couple items. The canopies are both have wrapped columns on them with brick. They're reminiscent of what's on the building that you're going to see, meeting that standard of our design guideline. And let me get down to the color elevations. This will be where there's some potential discussion for Planning Commission to make a decision here. So for the building, they have a base established with a dark gray brick on the bottom, and a cream colored brick that's the body, and also some woodlight composite panels in these 2 areas on facades. That one is a front facade and the other is a treatment for a front facade. Where the decision point is this top elevation is your east elevation. If you go back to the site plan, the east elevation is this elevation here. So that is pointed towards their parking lot. The elevation below it, which is the west elevation, and has also, let me clear this off, an entry type element here, while it's not going to be the primary entry, is facing South Church Street here. And then you have the pickup location that's on the south towards Joe B. Jackson. Both are design guidelines and zoning ordinance, establish that when there's streets that are there, especially arterials, you're supposed to face those with your primary entry. There is also some language in there that says the front of the structure shall be the elevation of the structure containing the formal or main entryway or containing such other architectural elements as it would lead a reasonable person to perceive it as the front of the structure. So, here, the primary entry, which is this top one, is what's facing internal to their parking lot. This is what they're proposing, basically as an interest treatment to face the city street. And then this south elevation at the bottom will be what is facing towards Joe B. Jackson. So staff has reviewed the site plan. It's in generally good order. Planning Commission just needs to weigh in on this item. Just kind of an update to the staff comments. They've provided us updated photometrics, which are in good shape. We've got the dumpster enclosure materials cleared up there as well. This is kind of the one item that needs some input from the Planning Commission as to whether the second facade down would lead a reasonable person to assume it's a front and is an appropriate front treatment to a front of a city street. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and I didn't speak to it, but I believe Chick-fil-A has somebody here today that can answer some questions as well.
Donovan, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I got two questions.
Yes, sir.
Can you go back to the original picture you had of the lot itself and then the roadway that had the access where people are going to come in? Yeah, okay. So two questions, and whoever's representing Chick-fil-A may have to answer one of these. I want to know how many cars are available to queue on the Chick-fil-A lot. And then I want to know if somebody can tell me how many cars could possibly queue off of Joe B. Jackson that would be turning left into this site. Because what we don't want to happen is what's happening on Memorial. All right?
Yes, sir.
And Old Fort.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, definitely be.
And I think, actually, Mr. Donovan, I'm sorry, before Chick-fil-A comes up, can you, just for my purposes, and I think Chairman Halliburton as well, draw us the queue line on the rendering? Because I'm having a really hard time making out what the queue line is.
Right, can he pull up the other drawing that had it the way he drew it just a second ago?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you draw me where the canopy is and the...
So, the canopy, this is where the order canopy is.
That's not where I thought it was. Okay.
And you've got pickup canopy here. So you've got one on both sides of the building. Then the inside of the two drive-through lines is there with the outside here. And then there's a third bypass, which is what you're seeing here.
Okay. And where on the top of the screen here, where they enter to get into the queue, that's an access road, private access road, shared with the commercial development, right?
You're talking about this
Yes,
one
sir.
here? Yes, that's private access to the
Right.
north, and then they would also back to the east. This is the access drive here that comes in and leads you into Aldi, which they have an access point here as well.
And that's the road that I'm curious as to how many cars would be available to be stacked right there.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan.
Afternoon, Alan Wiley with GBC Design. We will be able to stack between 38 and 40 cars. Can I just draw?
You can just draw them.
From this point here to this point here, and then there'll be another 8 to 10 cars to that point there.
And
So
so-
you're looking at possibly 50 cars.
All right, and how does that compare to Memorial? How does that compare to Old Fort?
I don't know the answer to those, unfortunately. One thing I can say is this is a new prototype. It has a dual lane drive-through. It has the doors what allows the employees to take the food out directly. So things will move much more quicker here. It has a much bigger kitchen than the other stores do. It's their new prototype, and it's built for moving cars through that drive-through.
I'd really like to know that answer,
Russ, do
honestly.
you have that?
I would too. I mean, I know that the good thing is if they do overflow, it would be on an access road and not one of our city's main roads, but 40 cars seems inadequate.
I don't know an official answer, but it doesn't seem like Memorial has 40 or 50 cars around just waiting in a line. It doesn't seem like it's that deep, but that's an unofficial.
You think it's smaller,
I
the
think
queue line is smaller?
I think the queue line is smaller, much smaller than this, maybe half the size.
I would think that too.
Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon. Brent Evanston, Senior Development Lead for Chick-fil-A. This has approximately twice as much queue as the Memorial does.
Okay.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you for verifying my,
Yes. I hope you have a favorite menu item.
So there
that's
is no
good.
access from any main arterial roads, correct? Okay. Fantastic.
So what would be the number? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I pulled up the aerial photo of the one on Memorial and just did a kind of a rough count, and it looks like it's probably about between 20 and 25 cars of queuing at the one on Memorial. Of course, the queue line can go beyond what's designated as the queue line, but it looks like that's about how many were designed.
Do we have any idea how many cars can back up on this access drive? Is it 20?
You mean roughly? here?
Yes. Yeah.
I'd say probably another 10.
Okay.
If worst came to worst, we could actually stack cars internally as well.
Or you could get somebody out there to tell them just to go to this other access.
Yeah,
Get 'em-
and I'd like to say if it got that bad, there's a problem in the building, not necessarily with the drive-through. There's a problem getting the food out the window.
I see.
Yeah, 50 cars is a lot of cars, 40 cars is a lot of cars to have in one of these drive-throughs.
Okay. I mean, I'm all for
It's Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Yeah, that's not where I'm going with this. But it's a great problem to have.
Yes.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
but there is some safety issues associated with, Jamie and I were just talking before we came on, well, right now, and she witnessed a situation where they were backed up on Memorial, waiting to turn in, right, right. We just don't want that at all.
I'd like to say if we got past this, then Brent and his team is going to have to look at the operator and see what he's doing wrong internally.
Okay.
And try to get that sped up so that we're not backing here. We want to keep cars here.
Right.
You said that, not us. Don't make Bo mad at us, okay? We like our chicken.
Mr. Halliburton, looking at Old Fort, looks like it's probably about maybe a couple less than the one on Memorial, probably about 20, 22, something
Okay.
like that.
What were we thinking on Memorial?
Yeah, I don't know.
What were we thinking? I was here for that.
Thank you. Well, unless anybody else have any questions while the representatives are up here?
That's
Talk
all.
about the facade and why it's
Yeah.
going to face the parking lot.
Go ahead, Brian.
It doesn't, but I mean, to be honest, it doesn't bother me.
Curious about the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I think that's just what our ordinance says, is that the main road has to have the main entrance. But I think in this case, with the parking lot being in the rear, we would prefer the building be closer to the street for aesthetics than the parking lot be closer to the street. So I think in this case, I'm okay. It doesn't not look like a main entrance. If you didn't show me that top picture,
You would
I would.
think that's the main.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's they matched it, so I'm okay with the exterior.
I don't have any issue. Yeah, if everybody's good, it's fine with me.
All right.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
If there are none, I'll move for approval, subject to all staff comments.
Second.
And I guess that's with the elevations as presented.
Yes, sir.
10-4.
Ms. Jaco?
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris. Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next section is new business. We have a zoning application for approximately 5.3 acres located at 210 Chapin Place to be rezoned from Commercial Highway to PND. Redeemer Classical Academy is the applicant. Ms. Smith.
Good afternoon again, Planning Commissioners. As you can see here on the screen ahead of you, this one is a little bit too much information, so I'll make sure at the public hearing we separate out. But this shows the future land use designations as well as the FEMA floodplain layers at 210 Chafin Place, so talking about Old Fort. You go down to the very end at Chafin Place, and that's where this location is. It was previously constructed back in 1985 with 12,000 square feet and was last known from 1997 to at least 2021 as Old Fort Academy Child Daycare that had about a 250 student capacity at this location. As you can see with the map, the existing building is located here, and it's actually on a highway commercial zone district property. The orange area here shows the 500-year floodplain. The blue area is the 100-year floodplain, and then this crosshatch area here towards the river is the floodway that you cannot build anything in. So the existing building does actually sit about 6 feet above the floodplain. Any kind of thing that's called a critical facility, which a school is designated in our stormwater ordinance, requires a 2 feet above the base flood elevation for the building, so it does actually meet that standard. And you may ask the question, why is this here today? We have a new policy that requires any location anywhere in the city, regardless of the zone district, if it's a brand new school that's never been located at the site before, it needs to file for a planned institutional district rezone. So in this particular case, it has not been established for the last 3 years, so it doesn't have any grandfathering clauses potentially if we thought a daycare was similar to a school. So that was X'd out, and a PND has been submitted for this particular project. In order for you all to have a little bit better, for those that might not recall the new policy, there were about 11 standards shown here, A through K, that any new school site would have to meet. So I wanted to just list it here so that way everyone was aware these are the standards that they're having to conform to, and everything underscored is how do they conform to each of those standards. Of all of those standards, only one is not being met, and so in their PND, they're asking for an exception to the setback from parking, and that's predominantly because the parking already exists. So it's a pre-existing site. All the other ones either don't apply or they actually meet the standard. In this particular area, transportation was looked at heavily. Everybody knows Old Fort at Chapin Place does have a extremely heavy queue that goes through the project. So the traffic division went ahead and shared with us that a couple of years ago they actually did some improvements up there at the intersection where they widened by 2 lanes, additional left turn lanes and right turn lanes accessing Old Fort. When they did that, extremely improved the whole queue down that Chafin Place. The other thing most people may not know, if you don't try to go through shortcuts, is you can actually get back to the Target shopping center through Chafin Street before you get to Old Fort. So if you don't want to wait for the intersection there at Target, you can actually cut over and through over to Chafin Place, go up and past the Arby's and those things, and get out at that location. So when they did look at that, traffic report and the traffic division both agreed that really there's not much more improvements that you can do to improve the conditions for what they call site street queue. So meaning you're waiting 120 seconds before you get the green light. So anybody that spills back. On the positive side, they were indicating that the release time for the school does not let out during the, quote, peak PM period, which is at least a little bit of saving grace. But there would be additional delay in queuing that they would still anticipate should the school be approved at that location. And then lastly, they shared with us, long-term, they are looking at some multiple improvements along Old Fort, but those might only gain about 2 seconds of time for that southbound street for it, so it will pretty much stay the same conditions as they're expressing today. And then lastly, there are 2 other exceptions that they are looking at putting with their project. They want to be able to keep the existing building as it is located today with their existing architecture, but maybe on the back side paint out so here's a picture of the building. Actually, most of it you cannot see from this end of the right-of-way. But there is an old dock area that looks a little rough that staff said, could you at least paint it so it blends in with the building a little bit better? And then they would leave all the other components as is. And then they've requested that at the entryways that they don't have additional base of building landscape plantings, because a lot of schools actually, best practices are they don't want to have those kinds of obstructions where either a kid can hide behind it or somebody can hide behind it. So those are the 3 exceptions that they are requesting in their plan development. We're looking at setting a public hearing for our December 3rd Planning Commission nighttime meeting. And what staff will bring in that report is a little bit better map on the FEMA, so you can see it a little bit better. And then I did clarify with the applicant today is that they are actually looking at relocating their existing facility, which I think is on Veterans, to this location. So they've far outgrown that site, and I think they had an agreement with the property owner. This site they are actually looking at purchasing, doing interior improvements to create those classroom spaces, and then at some point in the future they're looking at a small addition of about 8,500 square feet, but no outside fields with outside lighting that we would normally look at for a school location. But with that, we also hope to have on the GIS, the traffic analysis, should anybody care to review it, will be available to anybody who wants to open it up and take a look at what kind of queues that we have at that location.
I got a couple questions about the traffic. In its current zoning, and I know this used to be a daycare. So
Yes.
in its current zoning, is it still allowed to be a daycare?
It is.
Okay, so what would be, I'm thinking on a high level, if somebody came in here and opened this as a daycare right now, what would be the difference in the traffic? I would think a daycare...
Not much.
Yeah, not much.
Not much.
So, and I would think a daycare's traffic would more or less align with rush hour traffic, where a school would be a little off of rush hour traffic. So this would actually be less of an impact than a daycare, probably.
I'm not a traffic engineer, but my gut tells me yes, that would be the case.
Just wanted to make sure I was thinking correctly. I'm fine with the public hearing, I just wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, I got a question, so, or one comment and a question. The comment is, very glad Redeemer is finally finding their own home. Y'all came before the BZA many times, and so I'm very happy about that. If I'm remembering correctly, Redeemer is a K through 12, is that correct? Okay, so the high schoolers will be probably, driving to school. So I just want to make sure that the parking lot is sufficient associated with the student mix, I guess is what
We did take a look at the parking statistics, and they do actually meet both the existing building standards as well as the future expansion of the project site.
Even though you'll have some kids that will be...
Yes. So all of them are based in our standards. They actually have separate standards for elementary than high school, if I recall correctly.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions. Any other questions for Ms. Smith?
If there are none, I move to set the public hearing for December 3rd.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. The next item on our agenda is staff reports and other business. We have a mandatory referral to consider the abandonment of a drainage and detention easement on property located along Captain Joe Fulgham Drive. Mr. Hazlett is the applicant. Mr. Anthony, hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Chair Halliburton and members of the Planning Commission. This is a mandatory referral to consider the abandonment of a drainage and detention easement on Lot 9 of the Swanson development located upon Captain Joe Fulgham Drive. Staff have reviewed the proposed drainage and detention abandonment and calculations provided by Huddleston Steel Engineering, and have determined that the easement is in excess and is not required for detention. As such, staff recommends that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council with staff conditions.
Any questions for Mr. Anthony? What action do we want to take?
Move for approval, subject to staff comments.
Second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Anthony. Now we have a monthly update from Mr. Newman, Director of Land Management and Planning.
There he is.
Good afternoon, Chair Halliburton, Commissioners. I'm going to keep my update short again this month as well. Just want to give a couple of updates on some projects that we're working on. We have the design guidelines update that we've been working on. We've had a committee of developers, architects, and engineers along with staff. And we've worked over the last several months to update materials, update formal open spaces and where those would be required, and some alternates that could be done in lieu of formal open space in certain areas. So we've worked on that. We have a meeting this week that should be a final review, and then we hope to have something to you to review and take action on fairly soon. So we're extremely proud of our group and our staff for getting that done. We also have an update on Cherry Lane. Staff has reviewed the future land use map for that 1,800, give or take, acres that are along the Cherry Lane corridor, and we believe we have more of a finalized future land use for that entire area, which is a large step in activating that area in the future. So those are, I think, two really good updates on some projects that we have. And so we'll continue to move both of those forward and give you updates as they progress.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Any questions or comments for Mr. Newman? Thank you very much.
Motion to approve.
Matthew, you want to say anything about continuing ed?
You read my mind,
I know.
Chair Halliburton. You all should have received an email from me last week with links to 4 hours worth of training, and ironically, that is the exact number of hours that you need required by the state. Those were 4 hours of training that were recorded at the annual TAPA Fall Conference, TAPA Tennessee chapter of the American Planning Association, and they recorded those specifically so that planning commissioners and Board of Zoning Appeals members who are required by state law to have that 4 hours of continuing education will have an opportunity to do so. So please get your 4 hours before December 31st. We hope well in advance of December 31st. And please email Ms. Jaco and I after you have done that so that we can update the log so that if the state ever decides to audit us, that we can show them that we are in compliance. The other item that I'd like to bring up as a reminder is just from a scheduling standpoint, we do have 2 meetings scheduled for December the 3rd. That would be the Joint Conceptual Workshop, which will be at 4:30 p.m. in room 218 here at City Hall on Wednesday, December the 3rd. That's the Wednesday after the Thanksgiving holiday, and we do anticipate having a full agenda for that meeting. We're going to be feeding you during that meeting. It will be a working dinner kind of meeting, and we expect that meeting to take us up to the 6 o'clock regular meeting, which we will convene down here in the council chambers for our regular meeting and public hearings, and we do have 4 public hearings scheduled for that evening. So just a scheduling reminder there that that will look a little bit different than our normal Wednesday evenings. We'll have 2 meetings that night.
5 o'clock start?
4:30 for the first one, and that's in room 218, and then 6 p.m. For our regular Planning Commission meeting down here in the council chambers.
Matthew, I will be absent for that meeting, just so you know. Will you be here?
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other business come before the Planning Commission? Hearing none, we're adjourned.